Hello learners, in today's video we will learn how to change the voice of an interrogative sentence. In the last video we learned how the way of changing voice of those types of interrogative sentences which are called yes no type question, and there is another type of interrogative sentence that is called WH questions. Today we will see how the voice is changed for WH questions. Now what is a WH question? A WH question is one that begins with a WH word. What is this WH word? WH words are those like why, who, what, when, where, how, etc. These are all called WH words because they have WH. And when you have an interrogative sentence that has this kind of words at the beginning, then these questions cannot be answered simply by saying yes or no. A statement is to be made to give answer to these questions. So they are called WH questions or information question. So how to change the voice of these sentences? Whatever knowledge you gathered in the last video, in my last class, with regard to the change of voice of yes no type questions, that knowledge will be used again today also. Because we will do the same thing, almost the same thing we will do. The difference is there, slight difference is there that I will mention at the beginning. For example, if your sentence begins with who is the WH word? If the sentence begins with who does this? Who does this? Then the answer you have to start with by whom. That is something you have to remember forever. If the WH question begins with the word who, then in the answer in passive voice, you have to write by whom. This is the first thing. Then see that the tense, who does this? Does is the main verb here, simple present tense. And in simple present tense, what be verb is used? Be verb is essential for passive voice, we all know. What be verb is used? Am, is or are. Out of this am, is or are, which one will be used here? This will be determined by the object. The object is this. This, the word is third person singular number. So is will be used. By whom is? Then the object will come. By whom is this? Past participle of the main verb will come now. By whom is this done? If we say who did this, then it will be again by whom. Since it is who did this, simple past tense, in place of is, it will be was. By whom was this done? Again, if it is, for example, future tense, who will do this? Who will become by whom? And since it is will, in passive voice again it will be will or shall. Since the object is this will take will, not shall. By whom will this? Then since will or shall is there, be verb will be in its base form be. By whom will this be done? If it is present perfect tense, for example, by whom, who has done this? Who has done this? Again it will be by whom. Has is present perfect tense. In passive voice it will be has or have, depending on the object. Since the object is also third person singular, so by whom has this? Then in present perfect tense, be is used in passive voice in the past participle form been. By whom has this been done? By whom has this been done? Now if you write it in present continuous tense, for example, who is doing this? Since who is at the beginning, in passive voice we will write by whom first. In continuous tense, B verb is am is are, and it is here. In passive voice again we will write is because the object is again third person singular. By whom is this? Then in continuous tense one extra B verb is used, that is being. By whom is this being done? Who is doing this? By whom is this done? Is this being done? Who does this? By whom is this done? Who is doing this? By whom is this being done? Who has done this? By whom has this been done? Who did this? By whom was this done? Who will do this? By whom will this be done? So this is how you will change the voice of a WH question if the WH word is who. And now let us give some example of passive voice of the same who. By whom will a story be told? By whom will a story be told? So it is by whom at the beginning. This means it is passive. B verb is there, past participle is there, it is passive. By whom is there, it means in active we will make it who. When you write who, by whom is done, by who. And B will be removed because B is used for passive. And when B will be removed, told will be used in its base form. Who will tell a story? By whom can English be taught? By whom can English be taught? So by whom is there? Instead of this you will write who. Can is there, who can. Taught will become teach, its base form will be used. B will be removed because we are going to make it active. B was used to make it passive. Who can teach? Who can teach English? By whom can English be taught? These 8 sentences that begin with who in active voice and by whom in passive voice, we have seen how their voice is changed from active to passive and vice versa. Let us see how other WH questions are treated. Okay. The next number will be number 9. We have done a lot of exercise on who and by whom. Next one will be, for example, where. Where did you buy this? Where did you buy this? This is a WH question. There is where, it means in passive voice also, you will start with where. Where. Did is there, it means it's simple past tense. So if it's simple past tense in passive voice, what be verb will be used? Was or where. Which one out of was or where for this sentence the object will tell? The object is third person singular number, so the be verb will be was. Where was? Then the object will come. Where was this? Past participle of the main verb. Where was this bought? By you. Where was this bought by you? You can stop after the word bought also. Where was this bought? Where did you buy this? Where was this bought? Or where was this bought by you? Next one is why are you making a noise? Why are you making a noise? WH word is why. This means why will remain why. Only in case of who it becomes by whom. In other cases, in case of other WH words, it remains the same. Why remains why. Are you making? Present continuous tense. So remember, being will be used somewhere, and are is there, be verb in active voice. In passive also we will write am, is or are. Which one out of am, is or are? This will be determined by the object. A noise. A noise is the object. A noise is third person singular number. So for a noise, be verb will be is, not are. Are is used in active voice because The subject is you. And now you will use the be verb before a noise, and since a noise is third person singular, are will not be used, is will be used. Why is then object and noise, and since it is present continuous, being will be used now. Why is a noise being first participle of the main verb made? Why is a noise being made by you? Yes. And then comes another example. Which dress will you choose? Which dress will you choose? Which dress? In passive again it will be which dress. When it is which, then there will be, when the which word is which, then there will be a noun immediately after it. You have to take the noun along with which. Which dress will remain which dress again. Which dress? Will is there. It means in passive also shall or will be used, and then be will be used in the base form be. Will is used for if you again do which dress will be, then the past participle of the main verb. The main verb is choose. Its past participle is chosen. Which dress will be chosen by you? These are the WH words, the WH questions whose passive voice we have made from active. We gave you some examples of passive, and you will have to make them into active. Then let us see how you are able to understand them. How can this be done? This is not active because be verb is there and the main verb is in past participle. These two essential requirements of a passive voice is present here. Be verb is there, main verb is in past participle form. This is passive. But the tricky thing, the confusing thing is that how can this be done by you is not, or by whom, by you, by them, by the boy, nothing is mentioned. When you find that part is not mentioned, you have to imagine, you have to find out some suitable words for that. So, how can this be done? We often ask such questions. How can this be done by what? Make your own judgment. Think. How can this be done by me, for example? How can this be done by me, for example? If it is by me, then me will come at the beginning as I, but starting will be with the word how. How? Can will be can. How can I? Since we have guessed, since we have supposed that after done by you is there, you have to suppose it. If you don't suppose anything here, you cannot change the voice into active. Because that part is missing. Missing because it is left for you to judge it, to suppose it, and to find a suitable word. So you have the freedom to, sometimes you have the freedom to use more than one word, or one word out of many choices. How can this be done by me? If we suppose it to be by me, then it will be how can I? Then be will be removed because be was used to make it passive. We are now making it active. Be will be removed. Done past participle form will be used in the base form because done was used to make it passive. We are making it active now. So done will be used in its base form. Do. How can I do this? How can I do this? If instead of by me, you can suppose it like this. How can this be done by you? Then it will be, how can you do this? Or you can suppose it's something else. How can this be done by them? Then the active voice will be, how can they do this? It is your choice. Whatever you use, how can I do this? How can you do this? How can they do this? All are good. Since that part is missing and it is left for you to suppose it. If it is specifically given, for example, how can this be done by me? Then you must use I. If it is specifically given, how can this be done by the boy? Then you have to write, how can the boy do this? Since it is not specifically given, it is left up to your choice. You have the choice. You can use I, you can use you, you can use them, you can use the boy, anything else. Okay then, so we have done some 12 sentences. Some 12 sentences we have done where WH questions are used. The voice of WH questions are changed from active to passive and vice versa. And let me give some more examples. Which chapter have you finished? Which chapter have you finished? It is which chapter, added with which phrase. This will remain the same in passive voice also. Which chapter will remain which chapter? With the word which, the noun that immediately comes, it is inseparable. It has to remain with it. Which chapter have you finished? Active voice. And in passive we will write which chapter. Since it is have you finished, present perfect tense. In passive again we will write have or has. But since it is a chapter, so which chapter has you? Have is used because of you. You is the subject. But the object is chapter. So for chapter have will not be used. Has will be used. Which chapter has? Past participle is been. In present perfect tense or past perfect tense, be verb is used in its third form, been. Which chapter has been finished by you? Which chapter have you finished? Which chapter has been finished by you? So we have done some examples where we have changed the voice from active to passive, also from passive to active for WH questions. And we have seen that if the question begins with who, we write by whom. If the question begins with which and then there is a noun, while changing you have to take this noun along with which also. In case of other WH words, the same WH word remains. And tense, there are different tenses, simple present, present continuous, present perfect. The rule for tenses are the same. And the basic rules that I told on the very first day, that in passive voice two things are essential. Be verb must be there and the past participle of the main verb must be there. These two things are also applicable for any kind of sentence, for any kind of tense. These two basic principles are the same all over. I hope you have understood this. If you find anything difficult, you can watch the video again. If you still find the difficulty, you can ask me questions in the comment box. I will be happy to reply you. And in the next video, we will have done all the types of sentences. In the next video, we will practice certain sentences which are tricky, certain sentences which most of the students find it difficult to answer. We will practice changing from active to passive and vice versa of those sentences which are often asked in the exams, which most of the students find it difficult to answer. With this hope, let us stop here. Thank you very much.